Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. So last week, we had a holiday flavored Against the Odds poll, and in the end, it was Snow Matters coming out on top, and I had to stretch the theme a little bit. It kind of ended up being more Coldsnap Matters, but still, Coldsnap, snowy artwork, sort of snow flavored, so I think it's close enough. The end result is a deck I'm calling Snowlemnity, which I'm really excited about because we are testing out something that people have wanted to test out for a long time. We've played Solemnity before in just kind of like lock style decks, combo style decks. This is basically a Solemnity aggro deck looking to use Solemnity offensively to not have to pay the upkeep cost on some really undercosted huge creatures that are priced really competitively because they have such major upkeep costs that make them really hard to play. But with Solemnity, we don't have to deal with that. We can play huge undercosted things and use them to win the game. So a quick reminder before we break down Snowlemnity for Modern. If you enjoy this deck and you enjoy Against the Odds in general, it would be amazing of you if you could take a quick second, click that subscribe button down in the corner of your screen. It's a great way to support the channel and the site for free. So let's talk Snowlemnity, starting with Solemnity, one of the namesake cards in the deck. So Solemnity 3-mana enchantment makes it so players can't get counters and counters can't be put on things, except for planeswalkers basically. So you can do a bunch of different things with this. In standard, it's theoretically a sideboard card for energy, but what we're looking to do is a couple of things. First off, we have the fairly typical combo of Solemnity and Phyrexian Unlife. This isn't the centerpiece of our deck. We're not like a prisony lock style deck, but if we're playing 4 Solemnities, it's really hard to not play Phyrexian Unlife because they work so well together. Basically, if we get both enchantments on the battlefield at the same time, Solemnity makes it so we can't get counters, Phyrexian Unlife makes it so we don't die at 0 or less life, and all damage is dealt to us with infect counters, so basically, we just can't die forever until our opponent kills the Solemnity or the Phyrexian Unlife. But this isn't like our main plan. Yes, we can tutor it up with Zur the Enchanter, but we're not really built around this. What we're really trying to do is use our Zur the Enchanter, which when it attacks gets to tutor for an enchantment with converted mana cost 3 or less, which in our deck is Solemnity, Phyrexian Unlife, or one other card that we'll talk about later. But what we're really trying to do is make sure we get a Solemnity on the battlefield and take advantage of the creatures can't get counters clause on Solemnity. The lock of Phyrexian Unlife and Solemnity is basically our backup plan. It's really helpful in combo matchups and some other matchups just to stay alive, but our real plan is to get down our Solemnity, maybe tutoring out with Zur, and then start playing some really undercosted cumulative upkeep creatures. This is the snow part of our deck. Yes, they're not actually snow creatures, but look at Jotun Grunt in the artwork. Pretty snowy. Sheltering Ancient, pretty snowy. The main plan, though, is that Solemnity makes it so cumulative upkeep doesn't have to be paid, because cumulative upkeep takes the form of a counter. So, for example, Jotun Grunt, 2 mana 4/4, already really above the curve, but it has a cumulative upkeep, which makes us put 2 cards from a single graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library, which means, in theory, if the graveyards are empty, Jotun Grunt is going to die, because we're not going to be able to play the cumulative upkeep cost. Sheltering Agent, 5/5 for 2, has a cumulative upkeep that we got to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature an opponent controls, which obviously isn't ideal, because it's 1 counter the first turn, 2 the second turn, 3 the third turn, so we're going to be growing our opponent's creatures like crazy. But if we can get down a Solemnity, we don't have to worry about any of this. Our upkeeps are just not a thing. So Jotun Grunt is just a 4/4 for 2. Sheltering Ancient, a 5/5 trample for 2, which is a really absurd deal. That is way above the curve for aggro beatdown type cards. So that's what we're trying to set up, is Solemnity not have to pay these upkeep costs and just beat our opponent down with huge creatures. Once we get up to the 3-drop slot, things get even crazier. We have Phyrexian Soulgorger, which is just an 8/8 for 3, as long as we have Solemnity down. If we don't have Solemnity, it's pretty bad. It is actually a snow creature as well, worth pointing out. So we do have a little bit of literal snow creatures, but the upkeep cost is really rough. We have to sack a creature each turn, second turn 2 creatures, third turn 3 creatures, creatures, so it spirals out of control really quickly, which means we really need our Solemnity down. But assuming we have Solemnity down, Phyrexian Soulgorger, 8/8 for 3, Vexing Sphinx, really strong as well, 4/4 flyer for 3. It has an upkeep that makes us discard a card, then 2 cards, then 3 cards. Yes, we get to draw some cards for the counters on it when it dies, but it's major card disadvantage. However, with Solemnity out, it's just like a super flyer. It's like a Loxodon Smiter that's in the air to beat down our opponent. So if we can make sure we found our Solemnity, we just play all these creatures with no downside. We even have Survivor of the Unseen, which isn't as good at beating down, but it is a great source of card advantage. We can tap it to draw 2 and put 1 card from our hand on top of our library. The cumulative upkeep cost of 2 is really prohibitive. 2, then 4, then 6, and 8, so it's not going to survive very long. But with Solemnity, it just sits out there as like a super looter, where it's drawing us so many cards, generating so much card advantage. So that's the main plan of our deck, is to get down Solemnity, play these undercosted cumulative upkeep cards, beat our opponent down with 8/8s for 3, 4/4 flyers for 3, 5/5 tramples for 2, and not have to worry about the upkeeps thanks to Solemnity. We even have a couple of collected companies, which just works really well with the fact that all of our creatures, except for Zur, are 3 or less mana, so we can cast this and potentially get 16 power and toughness if we hit 2 Phyrexian Soulgorgers for 4 mana, which is insane. What could be better with collected company than double Phyrexian Soulgorger? So just a good value card, can get us creatures at instant speed. We have some Birds of Paradise and Noble Hierarchs just to ramp into our stuff, lets us play Solemnity on turn 2, start playing our big upkeep creatures on turn 3, gets to our collected company a little faster. And we also have Cover of Winter, which is our other actual snow card. So Cover of Winter's another really weird sort of lock piece. It has a cumulative upkeep of 1 snow mana, but it also has an ability where when a creature would deal combat damage to us, we prevent damage equal to the number of upkeep counters, on Cover of Winter. So that means if we can get like 2 or 3 counters on Cover of Winter, we're going to be preventing pretty much all creature damage, and then ideally we will get down our Solemnity, so we won't have the cost of Cover of Winter continuing to increase. Remember, Solemnity doesn't remove the counters from Cover of Winter or anything else. The counters that are already there stay there. So if we can get up to like 2 or 3 and then get down our Solemnity, we can kind of control how much mana we have to pay to keep it alive, can still lock creature damage out of the game. So it's kind of just like a backup way to lock creatures down from killing us. Mana base wise, we get a bunch of snow covered basic lands to help pay for our Cover of Winter, and we might as well play them. We're a snow deck. We might as well play the snow-covered basics since we have them. Otherwise, a bunch of fetch lands and a ton of different shock lands to fix our mana in our crazy 4-color deck. Sideboard-wise, we get a bunch of catch-alls. Path to Exile kills anything. Thoughtseize picks anything from our opponent's hand. Negate counters any non-creature. Then we have some more matchup-specific stuff. Rest in Peace for Graveyard, Stony Silence, Affinity Tron, Eidolon of Rhetoric. We can collected company into it potentially against Storm. And that is Snowlemnity for Modern. And that's our Against the Odds deck for this week. So, is this going to work? I don't really know. I've always been skeptical of using Solemnity as an aggro card, where you're trying to use it offensively. It feels like if we don't have Solemnity, we have a lot of cards that are really bad. Phyrexian Soulgorger, we just kind of can't cast it. Jotun Grunt, going to kill itself quickly. Same with Sheltering Ancient, either going to die or going to give our opponent a ton of creatures really quickly. So there's definitely some risk here, where if we have Solemnity, our deck is going to be absolutely absurd and so powerful, so strong. If we don't have Solemnity, we're going to struggle because we have a lot of creatures that we just really can't play, or we can play, but they aren't going to stay on the battlefield very long, thanks to their really high cumulative upkeep costs. So that's the risk. We just really got to hope that we draw our Solemnities. Having Zur helps give us that consistency, and having the Phyrexian Unlife aspect of the lock, or even Cover of Winter, gives us a backup plan for matchups where otherwise we might be in trouble. Like against Storm, for example. Yes, we have big things, but playing a big thing against Storm isn't necessarily going to be fast enough. Even if we turn 2 Solemnity, turn 3 Soulgorger, it's going to take us 2 or 3 attacks to kill our opponent. We're going to get stormed out by then. But having Phyrexian Unlife means, against Storm, we can randomly just go turn 2 Solemnity, turn 3 Unlife, and then suddenly we're kind of not going to die for a while because of our lock, and then that gives us enough time to play our Vexing Sphinxes, our Sheltering Ancients, our Soulgorgers, and take over the game with our big cumulative upkeep creatures. And even if our opponent manages to get out from under the lock, eventually, hopefully having these really undercosted threats to close out the game quickly means we can kill our opponent before they draw a way out from under our lock. So anyway, that's what we're working with today, Snowlemnity for Modern. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the videos, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, take a second and click that like button down below. It's a great way to help support the channel for free. And you can find the next video in the playlist right here.